Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, happy time zone, everybody. This is The Road to Dusk. You can call me Road, Dusk, anything that you would call a friend. I'm a dream usher focusing on sleep, dreams, and the imagination to help create an environment where people can learn to be better versions of themselves. We are on the last video for Reim for the year, and I am seriously excited to show this to you guys. It's arguably the most nuanced part of Reim given how it's so contextually focused, but coming from someone who is autistic and can and often does struggle with understanding emotion and intent, I feel that these, when used genuinely, can be incredibly helpful to express and for others to understand what is being said by someone. And I think this is a really good grammar point to end it on. So I won't deny that the emotive emphatics are my favorite part of Reim as a language. Simply put, they are a form of multiple ways to say so or very that are on a spectrum of emotion used to better express a speaker's intent. These adverbs are always put directly after their relative phrase. Now, I say relative here, not in the case of relative case like I talked about before in Reim. This is just more about a related phrase. How an adverb can go in front of a prepositional phrase or a subject or a verb. These adverbs can go after them as well. And whenever they are put after something, they emphasize what they are related to. If they come to the end of a sentence, though, that tends to mean that they emphasize the entire situation. Now we have 6 adverbs here, 6 emphatics, and we have a little chart underneath. Now, ro and le are considered pained emotions, so they're on the far left of the spectrum. Why is this? Well, ro represents a general pain, whether anger, sadness, stress, things like that. And le is a little lighter than that. It's disgust, it's dislike, it's disagreement. Now with the relaxed emotions, ba makes it as a relaxed emotion, despite the fact that it represents more things like annoyance and disappointment. Now sa is especially interesting because it represents calmness or a leisurely attitude, but it also is used as a pronoun meaning such, and we'll get into that in a bit. Ma is a surprised emotion, meaning joy, excitement, or agreement. Mo means shock, fear, or terror. While there could be an emphatic representing like a middle ground between ro and mo, nothing like that really exists, and if anything, to try and express an emotion between shock and anger, typically you can combine the two, whether saying moro or romo. Now, ro, like we said, indicates distress or pain. An example sentence that I have is saying, "It really hurt me." Hem brave que me ro. That ro at the end indicates like it seriously hurt me. I am still in active pain. I am still hurt and harmed by this. And the intensity of what you mean by this can change depending on whether you put emphasis on ro or not. So you can say hem brave que me ro, just a normal saying, hey, I'm still in pain from this, or you can really emphasize it and go hem brave que me ro. Put that trilled R in there, and that emphasizes that you are really angry about the situation and angry and hurt by the fact that you are dealing with the situation. Le, similar example sentence that we have here, we can say, oh, ew, I don't want that, in Reim as, oh, le, 하요는 or more quickly, because of Reim being a pro-drop language, oh, le, onasit. Don't forget in this case that le indicates disgust, so it can be used almost like an onomatopoeia or a verbal response, le, it almost sounds like you're already disgusted by something, like you're rounding that O sound. It's not a lo, it's a lu. Now with ba, while we said that it can indicate stuff like annoyance, sometimes indifference, it can also indicate like low energy, being tired, especially when trying to relax or to ground. In slang, it can also be used to express indifference. In English, when someone asks us, like, hey, what do you want to eat? If we really don't care, or even maybe a little annoyed about the question, we may say, I don't care much what we eat, or I don't care what we eat. And maybe that's a more formal way, or attempt a formal way of us trying to say, just order it and I'll eat it. I don't care. You can say in Reim, I sa nagazito kinchpa. Or, since it's pro drop, sa nagazito kinchpa. With that pa there at the end, meant to emphasize, I really don't care. You can just do it. I'll be here. Now, so is interesting because while yes, it can be used to express like a calm or a leisure kind of emotion, it does tend to be kind of the standard or base emphatic that's used in a lot of emotive phrases, whether interjections or things like that, which we'll get to in a bit. Because of that, and especially since the production of saw as a pronoun, saw as an emphatic tends to be confused a good bit, so you gotta be a bit careful. Now, for example, on how to use saw, though, as an emphatic, we have the phrase kadso. So you'll see that it means roughly like, what the, or what in the world, or holy cow. It's a bit like surprise, and it can be, but we have slightly different words and phrases for that, and we'll get to that in a bit. Now, meh, since we said it indicates cheer, joy, excitement, agreement, if you wanted to tell someone, oh, your cat's so cute, and like you really like how the cat looks, you really think that it's cute, and you want to commend the owner for having such an adorable cat, you can say, kitty tayo tinirago ma. Now, our last emphatic here, mo, while it still indicates shock or terror or fear, it can be used at the start of sentences to mean a very sudden or sharp kind of suddenly or and then. So if you wanted to say, based on a lyric that I am working on for a cover, suddenly I breathed the smoke into me. That suddenly becomes mo. So mo ay eresito na may. Now, how do we truly compare all of these? Imagine a parent has asked their child, did you take the trash out? And the child wants to respond, yes. They could in the following ways, with different emotional context provided. Now, as a reminder, there are two forms of saying yes in Reim. While in all of these, I will be using the informal, a. Don't forget that there is the formal, au. So if a kid wanted to say yes to their parent, they can use the informal, a. But all of these can change depending on the emotive emphatic used. So just a normal a is just a normal yeah. Amen can mean yes with the context of it was fun to do or I like to do it. Apa can mean yes with the context of it was annoying to do or I didn't really like it. Adol means yes with the context of it brought me pain or distress to do. Asa can mean yes with the context of it was nice to do but uneventful, it was just a task to do, now I'm done. Amol means yes with the context of something about it was surprising, shocking, or scary to do. Elu means yes with the context of this was disgusting to do, I hated it, I don't want to do it again, depending on the intensity. Now, here is where we get into how emotive emphatics can be used for interjections. So emotive emphatics are especially used for these interjections, emphatic emotion-based responses to any context that can either start a sentence or stand on its own. So you can say, "Oh man," to mean like, "Oh yeah," or "That's awesome," emphasizing that the situation brings joy or happiness. You can say, "Ah bah," or "Oh bah," meaning, "Oh great," emphasizing that the situation is annoying, an inconvenience, or cumbersome. "Aro," or "Aro," can mean like, "Oh darn," or "Oh crap," emphasizing that the topic or the situation it brings harm or pain in some way. It can be very useful when showing empathy and active listening to a conversation. If someone brings up like something sad or like something bad that happened today, saying in response, "Aro," can be a way to show support and listening without admitting any guilt, whether accidentally or purposefully. "Amo" can mean like, "Oh no," with emphasizing that the situation is surprising, shocking, or bringing fear. "Alu" can mean like, "Oh ew," or like, "Oh no," emphasizing that the topic or the situation is not liked, is found disgusting, or things like that. But two important interjections I would say are "soma," which can be a cheer shouted to others in support, or "sa le," which can be either a boo or an expression to mean like, "Well then," when annoyed or frustrated at a situation. Now, do remember that "saw" can be used as a pronoun. Now, it as a pronoun is considered what I would write a topical pronoun. How I'm defining the topical pronoun here is that it refers to the main or overarching topic of a sentence. Think like how you have the wa particle in Japanese compared to the ga particle. Similar in Korean, where you have in nin versus I ka, with in nin meaning a topic marker and I ka being subject markers. Now, to get a good example on how saw can be used as a pronoun, let's look at the Remal rambles or ruveite reimerikar that we have been doing on Blue Sky for the past few weeks. I will read off the sentence first before we break things down. Talking figure sets to cafe setting eroturation de kai tronri mercata sakas kangela. Tathain carro to cabana batiner thunga tassaron kaskangela. Darren tabain powder kits hasot, saron kaska formella, neuron kaska beshivki. This phrase translates to, often we have moments that we truly can express ourselves in Reim than English. Such thusly, since emotive expression isn't a taboo compared to such in English. Does anyone feel the same way, such with natural languages or with conlangs? Now, you may notice that saw is used quite a few times here. The phrase saw thain garoto kamarabatinere thunge, such thusly, due to emotive expression, isn't a taboo. And then you have tassa ron kaskangela. Tassa literally meaning compared to such, ron kaskangela in English. So we have saw in this case directly compared to itself. Saw thain, saw in this case being the act of feeling more comfortable in one language than another when speaking or communicating in general, compared to English, because at least to us, and we try to imply this, it feels like expressing your emotions is a lot more shunned or considered taboo in English cultures than what we hope to provide in Remal culture. And then you have the final sentence. So we see it two more times. saw, såt, such, same, saron kaska formel, anuron kaska beshivki, such from natural languages or from constructed languages. Such, saw, in this case, remains the same in all uses. So hopefully this can give you some way to understand how saw is used as this overarching topical pronoun. Now, let's look at some other examples on how to use saw as a pronoun. In a phrase like, say, tete, which is a very casual way of saying, hey, what's up? You can reply with saw, meaning like, I'm chilling, I'm here, I'm just vibing, basically. Or even in some cases, it is what it is. Similarly, you can say "Boimenso" or "make it so," as said by Jean-Luc Picard. Now for the third example, let's look at how some people may respond to a question such as, who did this? In this example, the phrase more literally means, this was done by who? So, "Särsterligen runtök." You can respond either "I terlekesa" or "terlekesa," meaning I did this. I did this thing. I did the thing in question. This is me. Like, it puts more emphasis on what happened rather than who did it. However, if you wanted to emphasize that you are the one who did it, you can say "I terlekesa chef" or "terlekesa chef." So there's a little nuance still on how to use saw as a topical pronoun, even when it comes to simple sentences. So try and be mindful of saw. But that said, that is the end of the video, and I am so floored. I am so excited. I do want to tangent a little bit just before we end this to maybe talk a little bit about what influenced Reim. I don't have any special pictures for this, so bear with me. It was actually Hymnos, the language that was created by Akira Tsuchiya for the Ars Noelica series. I don't know a whole lot about the Ars Noelica series. I just found the music and I fell in love. So if there's anything wrong with the Ars Noelica series, feel free to let me know. I barely touched it outside of the music myself. So yeah, there is that. But there we go. We have finished up the last Reim video of the year. And I want to give a massive, massive thank you to everyone who's supported my content, not just my streams, but especially here, as my system and I dip our toes into the content creation pool. Some projects have been expanded, such as this. Others have been accidentally put on the back burner, but we hope to give you some more interesting videos on topics closest to our hearts, namely conlanging, disability representation in gaming and media, custom art and music, maybe some song covers, and most ideally, some Let's Play content. We hope to finally get into a topic that we have promised all year, but haven't been able to deliver due to various reasons outside of our control. Namely, a plural or head-made or dissociative analysis on Kingdom Hearts, with maybe a mini analysis on Sakuba from .hack.gu, if you guys are curious about that. So with that said, hope you're all doing well, hope you've been doing well. Thank you all so much for sticking around, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much for sticking around till the end of the video. If you haven't already, be sure to take a look at all of our streaming platforms, our socials, and our official Discord server. Didn't know the wild, this is the end of the video. This is not the end of our time together, as the road to dusk will always be open for another adventure. Please have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is in your time zone, as we say. Yora. Bye-bye.